Hey everybody, welcome back. We are doing one more reaction to the Sons of Sam. Even though we have finished the series, we are going to react to Detective Ken Mains talk about his opinion on the show and what was presented. I don't know if he knows stuff outside of the show, so we're going to see what he says. It's 40 minutes. If you have not seen it, it is linked below. Go check it out. His channel, he gives opinions on, and most of these I haven't heard of, but he gives opinions on the Delphi murders, Chris Watts, Martha Moxley, the West Memphis Three, Joan Benet Ramsey. He's got a variety of stuff out there. Allen versus Farrow. Check him out. But I'm getting ready to react to his opinion on the Sons of Sam.
There was subsets in California, New York,
North Dakota.
North Dakota, so on and so forth. Believe me, you look long and hard enough, you'll find that connection.
And he's right. I mean, we do that with everything, don't we? We do that with our politics, with our religion, with our field. There was a psychologist we worked with. We had to do what they called a specific assessment called a comprehensive clinical assessment. Couldn't remember what the initials stood for, CCA. And at the time, it may have changed now, but at the time that the state developed this specific type of assessment, you had the person assessed by a mental health professional. So that could have been, well, they're all mental health professionals, by a therapist. So that could be a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed professional counselor, a licensed clinical addiction specialist, a licensed marriage and family therapist. Am I forgetting any of my colleagues out there? Could have been any of those. Then the second interview is done with a psychologist, and then the third interview is not really an interview. The third meeting is what is being recommended and all that kind of stuff. The psychologist and the therapist meet, and they talk about what each saw, and so they come up with the primary diagnosis, what they recommend for the treatment, and there might be more than the primary diagnosis. There's primary and additional diagnosis, what they recommend for treatment, and does that recommendation exist in the area where that person lives? Does the agency that they work for have it? Does another agency have it? Is it something that the county doesn't have at all? And it's something they need to talk to the next level of mental health administration about, we found a gap in services, blah, blah, blah. So, at any rate, long story short, the psychologist that we worked with, we had one that we were doing, and I met with him. We were talking about what the diagnoses were that we saw. And I looked at him and I said, "Don't you dare say this person is bipolar," because he seemed to give everybody that diagnosis, which that was his study. He researched and studied bipolar disorder. And so he laughed, looked back at me, and he goes, "No, this person does not have bipolar." I said, "Okay." At any rate, what Kenny's talking about, you can make, if you go far enough, hard enough, all that kind of stuff, you can make these connections. Yes, we do that every day in our lives with everything. And that's why it's important to not only have conversations, not necessarily debates, but conversations, and multiple resources of getting information. Terry had all these different theories. He had a bunch of different people working with him. Some were giving feedback, some were finding more information, all that kind of stuff. It's good to have somebody to bounce things off of for them to go, "I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't see it," because that helps keep us in check. That's all I wanted to say on that part of it.
Just like that game, 6 Degrees of Separation to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
You can do it.
I
Uh,
can't. I
so
don't
it's
think I
not
can.
hard.
Actually, I lied. I probably could do it. There's me, who knows my sister, obviously. My sister went to school at, did she go to Juilliard? Or she tried out for Juilliard? She was in New York for a month, got kicked out of whatever school she was in. I think it was Juilliard because she wanted to do theater and acting and all that kind of stuff. So while she was there in New York, maybe it was 3 or 4 months. It felt like only a month before she got kicked out. But while she was there, she ended up having lunch at a place that both Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith were at. And so she got to talk and interact with them. If she's telling the truth, she's also a big liar. So that's why I say that. But if she did actually have lunch with them, then I am sure either Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones, if you follow one of them, I'm sure we get to Kevin Bacon within 3 more steps. But I haven't gotten that far.
I'm going to say 10 people in the New York area, Queens, Yonkers, wherever it was from. And that's
Bronx.
just, they were interviewing them now. And this is 30 years later. I mean, the Son of Sam was operating in what, 1977?
More than
Interviewing
30
the New
years.
York
We're older than
Police
that,
Department.
Kenny. I forgot to preface this. Kenny and I went to high school together. I don't, to be honest, I don't know if he remembers me, but I remember him. He was on our football team. I was a transplant, and so I kind of floated around. I wasn't in any particular clique or anything like that. So that's why I say I don't know if he remembers me. My last name probably because my last name's unusual, but so we're acquaintances, but we did go to high school together. I forgot to give that little, oh gosh, I forget the word for it. I'm too tired and hurting too much to remember words anymore. Can't remember the word. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Disclaimer.
So, and to me, he's right. They didn't look like each other.
I agree
Okay,
with
they
that.
look totally different. Okay, witnesses see things very differently, but these
Usually
weren't
there's
even
some
close.
connection.
Documentary series Hunt for the Zodiac Killer. So
Go check it
I
out.
was
I will say the History Channel has that on YouTube. If you have not seen it, you can check it out. I thought it was quite interesting. I thought there was supposed to be a season two, but that hasn't come out. So I don't know if that got shelved or what. But after I'd watched the first season, Kenny had talked about there was a second season. I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. I can't find any evidence of it yet.
an individual who is not a police officer. Okay, this Terry, who is a
Journalist.
journalist, investigative journalist, one of the police detectives. I am vaguely familiar with. I've had some dealings with him in the past. Joe Coffey worked against the mob a lot, against Gotti, um,
It's interesting to have that
but
perspective
also the
because
Son
we
of
didn't get
Sam. I
that in
mean,
the
he
show.
was good at what he did, and he had his theory, and it certainly did not jive with Maury's Terry's theory.
That's
Careful as
interesting
an
to know.
invest, and it isn't Zodiac. Okay, two separate people. Somebody will try to make that connection. They always do. His references to Johnny Wheaties, to being the son of Sam. Maury Terry connected to friends
Car.
of David Berkowitz, the son of Sam. I believe their names were maybe Michael.
John.
I don't remember the other gentleman's name, but their last name was Carr. And the proximity, being there, and that they were all in the occult, which is involved with devil worshipping.
And the
It is very
composite,
possible,
the one
okay, in
composite
my
looked just like
opinion.
the other Carr brother.
Now, I don't know. I'd want to look into that more, and I'd want to look into why Berkowitz said that.
You can see that gut turning, that gut feeling that you get, the flags that are going off, as I call them. I've just got a funny feeling about this.
The illegal search of Berkowitz's car when the
Yeah,
gun was found.
I totally forgot about the illegal search. How were they able to pin all that on? Well, that because he confessed. Since he confessed, they didn't have to worry about the evidence in the car. But that was a big screw up by NYPD for the illegal search. And I completely, that was back in the first episode, wasn't it?
I believe a witness had seen
A different
Berkowitz's
vehicle.
car getting ticketed, and that is what led them to David Berkowitz.
Oh,
And
I
when they were
totally
staking
missed
out his
that
apartment,
connection Because I was stuck on the witness that saw the yellow VW Beetle. So they must have mentioned both witnesses in the same section of that video, that episode, which was that episode one also. Feels like ages ago.
There's exigent circumstances for safety. You know,
I
you
don't
can
think there were exigent
kick in the
circumstances here.
door, impound the car. Okay, this is our suspect's car. We're taking it.
And then get the search
So,
warrant.
and it would have went to trial. I believe the gun
He
would
would
have
have
been
gotten off.
tossed. NYPD got their guy, and they did get their guy. Don't let anybody fool you and say that they didn't.
Right,
Now,
he
is there
admitted
other
to
shooters?
some of them.
Possibly. It will connect, but it's weak and it doesn't mean anything. But
You
you
need
think
somebody
it
to
does. And
bounce
I gave
stuff
you an
off of.
example. Let's look at his mug shot. Okay, they take a
Oh, he
picture
talked
of his
about this
face.
before.
Oh, he's got a tattoo there. Let me blow up that tattoo because you do all this work, okay, and all this research, and you connect it, and at the time, it makes sense to you, and
Well,
you
you
try
don't
to
want to believe
explain
you
it
did
to
all
other
of that work
people,
for nothing.
and point them as a suspect when they're completely innocent. There's nothing worse than that. Okay,
Agreed.
the other one shot himself.
I thought he was
In the
murdered.
they are the ones that killed the brothers, and they went there, found a Bible, and the Bible was open to a certain passage,
The
and
Bible was in the tree or something,
you know,
under a
maybe it was
tree.
just when I watch documentaries like this, it gets me more intrigued. You know, I want it.
And I
It's
think
so
that's the
amazing to
purpose
me.
of them,
Different
because you want
police
more than.
officers. Wouldn't it be great to have a case where everyone agreed? I've never seen that. I don't think I've ever seen
That's
that.
true.
Even in is this picture Billy the Kid? And there would be so many comments. People will say, "Well, nope, the chin's different."
Oh, because there's
Listen,
not
we're
a
all
known picture,
you
is
don't
there?
really know.
Or there's one picture of
I've
Billy
never
the
seen
Kid
it,
or something like that, and it's
especially a
not a very
famous
good one.
case. O.J. Simpson. It wasn't O.J. It was a drug hit.
Speaking of O.J. Simpson, here's your 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. When my cousin was getting married, her fiance at the time sent blank VHS tapes, so that gives you an idea of when this was, to a bunch of different celebrities and said, "Will you wish my soon-to-be wife the best?" and blah 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 blah. You know, gave them a little bit of history. The only celebrity that sent them a tape was Johnny Cochran. And not only did it have the message, but then if you kept playing the tape, you saw some outtakes. So no matter what you think of him, that was pretty cool. I haven't asked her if she still has that tape, if she's moved it to DVD or anything, because that was pretty cool. Nobody else sent them anything.
I would want to know more about him. You know, I guess
Like,
it
is he under
was
psychiatric care?
different criminal profilers on the same case
And they come up with
that
different
didn't know
things.
that. That's not an end all be all. Okay, you can't just say yes.
It's just a guide.
Which you can get off my website or off Amazon or in a trash can somewhere. Somebody threw it away. But I believe I talked in there about
At least he's
exactly
humble.
this: 6 foot tall to reach that.
Is
Okay,
there
you
a chair
measure it,
anywhere around?
and with the other half of you
Or a
says, "Well,
stool?
wait a second. You know, maybe they got a chair." Well, you look down; it's carpet. You see
Thank
no
you.
indentations.
Kind of his curiosity and wanting to know more and that sort of thing about criminal profiling. I haven't done as much, but I often thought I would make a good either interrogator or, hold on, I got to think of the word. We know I'm not doing good with words right now. Negotiator. Based on some of the trainings I've had and some of the work that I've done and information that I have to get and the paths I have to pick to go down and all that kind of stuff. I think I would be good at negotiating and or interrogating, which are two completely different things. But I've also always liked aspects of criminology and all that kind of stuff. One of my courses in college was a criminology course. It was on a drug task force, so it's still related to my field. Basically, the professor, administrative justice was the area for studies, but the professor treated the class as the drug task force, and we each had to do studies on certain aspects and then present the report. They divided the class in half, and we had two different reports, but it was probably about that thick with all of our reports that we put in. And I was one of the dummies that volunteered for my group to proofread everything. So I'm proofreading, and two of the sections were written almost word for word the same. So this was the night before it was due. So the other person that was helping me edit, who ended up falling asleep at some point because we were up all night doing it, we sat there and changed one of the sections words complete. I mean, the words were almost identical. It was like it was copyrighted. That's how bad it was. So we completely changed the one so that it wasn't quite so obvious. And we ended up getting an A in that class. The whole grade was based on that one report. That was it. 15 weeks of putting that report together. so, so at any rate, I've always liked the criminal field. I've had to work with law enforcement in my job. I worked at a prison at one point with my job. I wanted to work at another, but all the prisons are too far away from where I live past the one I worked at. I ended up leaving that one because of the supervisor. He was an asshole. See the trend? I didn't date him. I didn't date him. At any rate, I've always liked the field, and so once I get done with this career, when I retire, I may look into doing that type of work further on, but I still have 18 years. I might be at 17 years now before I can retire. So I did calculate, I could take 5 months off straight of sick leave. That's how much sick leave I have built up. So in 17 more years, we'll see what that sick leave is at. Go from there. All right. I'm going on too much. Kenny should be wrapping up now.
About people that claim they're a criminal profiler. Everybody wanted to say that, and you can't. Okay,
It's
but
very
on the flip,
specific.
I don't know where I was going with that. I get off on a tangent on criminal.
We're very similar. Is it our age group? Is that does our age group tend to get off on tangents? How many other reactors in their 40s, almost 50s, uh, go off on tangents? Yeah, he and I are alike in that way.
And that's another thing, people change. That's the great thing about. I hate to say it like
I'm
that.
glad he's
Great thing
recognizing
about
that.
old, but when you're 50 and you look at those things, your whole life
You're not 50
has
yet,
changed.
Kenny.
Where now that
Not yet.
so your alliances change, your friendships change, all that.
Perspective changes. So that was Detective Ken Maines. I wonder because I think he's retired now, but I guess the title remains. Once if somebody can let me know that, I'd like to know. I know a doctor is still a doctor even after they retire and their license is gone. They're still a doctor. So is that the same for detectives and lieutenants and captains and all that kind of stuff? I'm guessing it's true since he still calls himself detective. But that is Ken Main's Unsolved No More on YouTube. If you didn't check it out before watching this, go check it out. He, I like him because he seems to present things logically, and our personalities are similar. So at least presentation wise, and I like the fact that he goes on tangents. At any rate, check him out. He's got a lot of other cases on there that you guys might be interested that I haven't looked into yet. So go there. The Hunt for the Zodiac Killer is not under his YouTube channel, it's under the History channel. and that's one you have to pay for, I think, if you don't have the History Channel. I don't know if they do reruns on the History Channel. It's been forever since I've had that service, over 10 years. So, all right. Thank you for joining me on this one. It's been a journey, a short journey though. Thanks. Bye.